in the next normal. And I have a cool little infographic for all of us to really check out what is going on and to give some more details to it, because I know a lot of us, I'm here in the UK, we are in another lockdown. What it is people are struggling right now. Leaders are struggling, teams are struggling. If you read the book, you found that I did a survey, and so many leaders are having difficulties with the well-being of their team, because now they're working in a hybrid or virtual environment. And what I mean by that is the people used to have an office that you used to come into and you used to be able to get face-to-face with your employees and your staff and your team. And now you're having to do that from a virtual place. You're having to do that when they're working from home. And we had a couple of different things going on here. We have the fact that there's employee well-being problems. There are people entering burnout. There are people that are feeling isolated. And so as leaders, we really want to support our team. And then there's the whole team performance thing, where right when the performance started, when all this lockdown started in March 2020, everybody was sort of running on adrenaline, but we've been doing that so long that people are running out of that. So we really need a strategy. And so in my book here, I outlined, that just came out in the end of 2020, I outlined 12 principles. And so I just wanted to go over very quickly all of those different principles so that you know as a leader what you really need to do to support your team going forward in that. So I got all these cool little things going on here, and we're going to hit principles one at a time. So principle number one, you can't sprint a marathon. Now, what I mean by that is the fact of, like I mentioned, in March 2020, we knew that there was going to have to be a lot of changes made. And so everybody from the whole team the whole companies really had to change what they had to do in order to just stay in business. And so everybody's adrenaline was up. We're running on adrenaline. We were like sprinting to try to pivot, to put in work from home measures. And it's like what the survey found is that people are still in that sprint mentality. Well, now we're going on, 10 months now, that people are tired of sprinting. And so we have to realize that we're in work from home, we're in lockdown. I mean, even if the vaccine catches on and works, we still have a couple more months of this. But if you talk to all the experts, we really have to be ready for more crises. So we have to treat all of these changes like a marathon. And what that means, we have to slow our pace down. We have to become more strategic. We have to really, as leaders, have a strategy for the next bunch of months or the next bunch of years that really has to do with agility, working from home, and employee well-being. So that's principle number one. You can't sprint a marathon. Principle two, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Principle two is you don't find out about mental health issues until it's too late. So the surveys we did and the interviews we did with both leaders and employees found out that a lot of people are approaching or even at the burnout phase. And I'll tell you what, these were most prolific in senior leaders and senior managers. And I think the reason is, if you're at the top, if you're the CEO, the business owner, first of all, you have sort of this built-in risk tolerance and this built-in resilience. And the employees are doing a lot down there, but it's like the senior leadership team gets stretched, gets pushed by both. It gets, the owners and the CEO giving them direction. And then you get all the employees, they're trying to do the best for their employees. And it found out that 3/4 of senior leaders, 3 out of every 4, were having burnout and mental health and emotional issues. And 25% of them were at a serious level. So if you have a senior leadership team, if you're in a senior leadership team, if you are a business owner or CEO, look at your executives. 1 out of 4 of them are really struggling, and 3 out of 4 of them are having issues. So you really have to do that. And the thing about mental health issues, if they reach burnout, it's not like just take a couple of days off or take a week off. They are really going to be, true burnout takes people out of the game for weeks or months. And not only, a couple things, when people enter burnout, there's a long recharge time for that, but it also affects your culture. Because if you have a team and somebody really gets burnt out and they have to take those couple weeks or months or 2 months or whatever it is out, everybody starts looking at themselves. It's like, well, what kind of place are we working at here? So it's a real cultural hit as well. And really as leaders, we don't want people to reach that. We want to do the best for our team. So we really need to get our pulse on this very quickly. And the third, I talk in the book a lot about empathy. And, the fact is, as a leader, especially in these difficult times, you have to really show empathy and care about the people, especially when there's this chaos. Because if you show care to that person, they're going to show care back to you. And so you really need to have to initiate that, because if they have all these different personal things going on, these priorities, they are going to reward the leaders that show that they have a care for them. And taking this to the next step, principle 4, leadership is personal now. It's interesting. When I was really young, in my late teens, so I was about 17 or 18, I was working for a manufacturing company, and I remember this guy, Jim Buzzard. He was like the foreman of this manufacturing plant, and he said, and it's funny, I just thought of this right now, I remember we were walking around the shop, and I looked up to this guy, and he had a leadership position in this manufacturing plant. I was like doing their Excel and stuff. He said, and I don't know how it came about in the conversation. He goes, Michael, when it comes to the people that work for me, I show some interest in them, but, I do keep a little bit of separation. So, I know if maybe they're, if they have a wife or kids or they're taking care of their parents, I ask how they are, and, because I want to show some interest, but, I also don't want to get drawn too much into that. I get that in a way as leaders, because, if you ever go out to, for example, drinks with your group and you're the leader, you never want to be the one that really gets drunk. You never want to be the one that stays till the end. You want them to have their time. You want to show some involvement. But there's also this natural thing where you're never going to be, it's very rare to find you're the same level of friends there. But taking that to where that's at now is that so many because people have to be working at home, the things that they have going on in their personal life, you have to know about. And that means if you have an employee that is taking care of their parents, or that is having a couple kids at home right now, you need to know that as a leader, because you need to help them out and manage and balance those type of things. And so that's what I mean by leadership is personal now. It's time for you to take an interest and understand what's happening in your people's lives. Now, principle number 5 is earn the right to have real conversations. So many leaders are saying, hey, I know something's going on with my employees, and I ask them how everything's going, and they're like, yeah, everything's fine. And I know intuitively that it's not fine. And so this means you need to really take empathy to that next level, and you really have to listen and care before they're going to open up to you. And you have to show that vulnerability as well. And you know what? I'm also going to do some videos on each one of these principles. So I'm just going over these at the high level now to get an idea what's in the book and what you really need to know. And then we can do more deep dives. Principle number 6, highlight, promote, and even manufacture positivity. Look, there's so much crap going on out there. It's important that in your meetings and in your updates and when you're talking to your employees that you really focus on the positives, because there's so many negatives out there. And so when you are working with your team, be careful. Don't get down on people too much, because they're probably dealing with a lot of stress. Because when we're going through crises like this and all this change, it takes up a lot of our energy. And again, you don't know what's going on in their personal life. So you want to be that type of leader, and you should be this leader anyway, that really points out the good things, because there's enough craziness going on out there, and that's going to raise their spirits. They're going to see work as a place that gives energy instead of drains energy, and that's really what you need to do. Number 7, run tight meetings, period. I got in this meeting today at 9 a.m. with this group I'm working with, and we get on, and for 10 minutes, 12 minutes, people are chatting. And to be honest, I woke up with a bit of a headache. I had so many things to do, and I'm like, look, let's get to it. Oh my gosh. And you know what? It was scheduled for an hour, and it went an hour, and it really didn't need to go an hour. It could have went about 35 minutes. And I'll tell you what, I just felt like, oh my gosh, it's like people are puttering around here. I know some of the people knew each other. They were chatting. you know what, this is my time. We had like 8 or 9 business owners on here. I'm like, hey, call a meeting, get on it. And unless you start doing that consistently, people are going to be really dragged down by your meeting. So the leaders are coming to me and say, hey, we're in meeting after meeting. I'm like, yeah, if you're in meeting after meeting, you have to be diligent, and you have to have real rules and set those disciplines around your meetings. Number 8, empowered accountability leads to a strong culture. This really doesn't have as much to do with being in a hybrid or remote work environment, except it sometimes takes some different tactics to hold people accountable right now, doing the things that we're doing now. And what that means is really empower your people, make sure that they have what they need to do their job, and then have accountability, be transparent, so everybody knows who's doing what. And the thing is, when you put in those proper type of transparent type systems, then people start to hold themselves accountable, which I believe that's what we really all want in business, is for people to hold them accountable. We don't really have to be the babysitter type. Number 6, focus on results and outcome, not on time or processes. Yeah, again, a lot of leaders are coming to me and they're saying, hey, I'm not sure people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. I don't know if they're spending 8 to 9 hours on work like they should. And that really bothers me. I'm like, well, who really cares? So get rid of that micromanagement thought, like, oh my gosh, I gotta make sure that they do this, and really focus on, have them focus on the outcome and the results, and say, look, I trust you. Because look, they're working from home. They're not in an office. You have to show that trust. And then if you can show that trust and really have them focused on the results and outcome, they'll put in more than those 8 or 9 hours because they really want to show up for you. Number 10, your culture, agility, and people are your long-term advantages. It used to be that intellectual property, market share, all these different things were your advantages. Well, there's so much change going on right now, and I believe there's going to be so much more change going on that you really need to create agile teams, and you really need to create an agile workforce, and that's going to be your long-term advantage, because we don't know what's going to come, but I believe there's going to be a lot of change. So your ability to adapt is going to be your key to a successful organization. Principle 11, unwavering, pragmatic optimism. And I know there's a lot of big words there. Unwavering, pragmatic optimism fuels the rest of the strategy. Now, you, as the leader, have to always be optimistic and hopeful about the future. Honestly, even if you don't believe it totally 100% yourself, because people pick up from your energy as the leader. And so you always have to be out there like with this energetic hope and energetic optimism that you and the team can get to the next place. Even if you don't know the answers now, people are going to look to feed off of your energy. And what that means is if you feel down or you feel low, do not get in front of your team, because they're going to, the thing is, you have to be optimistic and hopeful 100% of the time. 99% of the time doesn't cut it. Because if you have a company meeting or if you have a team meeting, you come and you're down and you're like, oh, I don't know if we're going to make it, or I don't know about this. That's really going to freak people out. Now, you want to be authentic and vulnerable. So what you can do is you can say, hey, this is going to be a tough play. This is going to be a tough next couple of weeks, and tough next couple of months. Revenue's down, whatever it is. But you have to follow that up with, look, we can do it. I believe in us. We're forming a plan, et cetera. So you have to be forward thinking. So a lot of people ask me about this fine line of how to be authentic and yet be how to be authentic and vulnerable and yet be optimistic. So you can be authentic and vulnerable. You can even say, hey, I've had some ups and downs over the last few days, but don't show them that. Don't experience. You can say, yesterday or day before I was going through some tough times, and that's good to be vulnerable because other people know that they can go through that as well. You just don't want to show up and just let them feel your negative energy. Hopefully that makes sense. It's an important line to understand. Principle number 12, everybody wants to be a great team member. It's your job to let them. Now, this is again, leadership's know what else you are struggling with. Make sure you're in the group if you're not already. I'm streaming this right now in a couple different places. I'm putting this video out here. Make sure you're in the next normal leadership group. And I got a lot of great stuff for you. And I know how difficult it is right now for everybody in leadership. That's why I wrote the book, and that's why I'm out here. So let me know how I can be of support to you. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. I will catch you soon. Michael signing off. Bye.